In the field of geriatric medicine, transitioning into a nursing home is often framed as a practical solution offering structured care, daily assistance, and safety. But longitudinal studies and clinical reports have revealed that institutional living can lead to significant unintended consequences that are frequently underestimated. Research has consistently shown that loss of autonomy, decreased physical activity, diminished sense of purpose, and reduced social engagement can accelerate both functional and cognitive decline. In some cases, this decline begins within the first few months of institutionalization. This video outlines 6 commonly reported outcomes drawn from patient interviews, caregiver observations, and scientific literature that older adults frequently experience after entering long-term care facilities. Whether you're a healthcare provider, caregiver, or older adult planning your future, understanding these patterns is critical for making informed, evidence-based decisions about aging and quality of life. These are not just personal regrets, they are cautionary signals for anyone facing a similar crossroads. Let's begin with the first. Regrets show loss of autonomy, the diminishing of daily control. In clinical gerontology, autonomy isn't just a philosophical concept. It's a predictor of mental health, physical function, and even longevity. When older adults lose control over basic routines, such as what time they wake, what they eat, or how they spend their day, their sense of self often begins to erode. Many nursing home residents report an abrupt shift in agency. Previously independent individuals who managed their own schedules, meals, and home environments suddenly find themselves bound by institutional protocols. Meal times are fixed, activities are scheduled, privacy is limited. Even decisions about what to wear or when to bathe may depend on staff availability. This loss of autonomy doesn't just affect mood, it has measurable consequences. Studies published in journals like The Gerontologist have shown that a perceived loss of control correlates with increased rates of depression, cognitive decline, and functional dependency in institutional settings. One resident described it this way: "I woke up on my first morning, reached for my usual book, and realized nothing around me felt like mine. I wasn't in charge of my day anymore. That, more than anything, made me feel old." For many, this erosion of personal freedom is the most jarring part of nursing home life. Over time, the structure meant to support safety can inadvertently weaken independence, and the hardest truth, regaining that autonomy, once it's surrendered, is far more difficult than most expect. Key takeaway: before deciding on institutional care, ask, is this person truly unable to live independently, with support? Or are we sacrificing freedom for convenience? Because in geriatric care, autonomy is more than comfort, it's survival. The regret 2, the quiet descent into social isolation. One of the most underappreciated risks of institutional living is social disconnection. While nursing homes are designed to provide 24/7 care and companionship, the clinical reality often paints a more sobering picture. Residents frequently report feelings of isolation, abandonment, and emotional detachment from their previous lives. In geriatric psychiatry, social isolation is not just a quality of life issue, it's a mortality risk factor. Research from institutions such as the National Institute on Aging and Harvard's longitudinal studies has demonstrated that chronic loneliness in older adults is associated with increased inflammation, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and even premature death. The mechanism: prolonged social disconnection dysregulates cortisol, weakens immune response, and accelerates cellular aging. Upon entering a nursing home, many seniors expect continued connection with loved ones, and initially, that connection often holds. Families visit, grandchildren call, friends check in, but over time, sometimes slowly, sometimes abruptly, those interactions fade. Life outside the facility moves on. Schedules change. Visits become phone calls become texts. Eventually, silence. They sat in the lounge. One resident shared, watching the door, hoping today would be the day someone remembered I was still here. Her words, while personal, echo across thousands of facilities where residents spend birthdays, holidays, and ordinary days without meaningful contact. Clinically, this erosion of social engagement can manifest as anhedonia, loss of interest in once enjoyed activities, depressive symptoms and sleep disturbances, increased use of psychotropic medications, cognitive decline faster than seen in socially active peers. It's critical to understand being surrounded by people is not the same as feeling connected. Nursing homes can provide structured activities and communal meals, but they can't replace the emotional resonance of family visits or long-standing friendships. Key takeaway: if considering long-term care, families must ask, are we prepared to maintain consistent emotional presence, visits, calls, involvement, even after the move? Because the absence of that connection may do more harm than we realize. Regret 3. Loss of purpose and daily engagement. Purpose is not a philosophical luxury, it's a physiological necessity. Studies from the Rush Memory and Aging Project show that a strong sense of purpose correlates with a reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease, better motor function, and lower levels of systemic inflammation. At home, older adults often maintain a personal routine, cooking, gardening, volunteering, or simply tidying their space. These small daily acts provide structure, identity, and neurocognitive stimulation. When that environment changes, when meals are provided, chores are outsourced, and hobbies are limited, the brain no longer receives the same stimulation. Dopaminergic activity drops, mental fatigue sets in, and before long, the individual may find themselves not just inactive, but disengaged from life altogether. As one former carpenter in his 80s once told me, "They took away my tools, and I forgot how to use my hands." This sentiment, while deeply personal, echoes a broader truth: we deteriorate when we no longer feel useful. Before entering a nursing home, ask, will I have something meaningful to do each day? Will I still feel like myself? Regrets associated physical decline. One of the most concerning yet least anticipated outcomes of institutional living is the speed at which physical deconditioning can occur. In clinical gerontology, it's well understood that reduced functional demands on the body, such as walking, climbing stairs, or preparing meals, can lead to a cascade of muscular atrophy, joint stiffness, and loss of coordination. Prior to admission, many older adults remain relatively independent, cooking for themselves, walking regularly, engaging in household tasks. These daily movements, though simple, are integral to preserving neuromuscular function and cardiovascular endurance. However, in many long-term care settings, these activities are either minimized or entirely eliminated for the sake of efficiency and safety. Meals are brought to residents. Mobility is often assisted even when not strictly necessary. Over time, the lack of physical demand leads to a measurable decline in strength, flexibility, and balance. A 2021 meta-analysis published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society confirmed that older adults in nursing homes experience more rapid declines in gait speed, muscle mass, and overall mobility compared to their community-dwelling counterparts. This isn't simply about losing strength, it's about losing the physiological capacity to recover from illness, injury, or hospitalization. If you're considering nursing home care, ask, will my body still be challenged enough to stay strong? Because in aging, use it or lose it isn't just a saying, it's a biological reality. Measure 5. Diminish privacy and personal dignity. Privacy and autonomy are core to psychological well-being. Yet in institutional environments, both are often compromised not from malice, but from systemic design. Clinical studies in elder care settings have repeatedly shown that loss of personal space and control over one's environment contributes to increased anxiety, depression, and feelings of depersonalization. When someone no longer chooses when to bathe, what to wear, or how to arrange their belongings, their sense of agency erodes. While staff may be compassionate and well-trained, the logistics of facility-based care often require rigid schedules, shared spaces, and frequent interruptions. The experience of being assisted with toileting or dressing by multiple caregivers, sometimes unfamiliar, can be deeply unsettling, especially for those who have lived independently for decades. And yet, dignity is not optional. It is essential. The World Health Organization includes respect for autonomy and personhood as a key standard in its global strategy and action plan on aging and health. Before transitioning into a facility, ask, will I be able to preserve my privacy? Will I still feel like a person, not just a patient? Regret 6. Discovering. It's harder to leave than to enter. When older adults move into a nursing home, it is often described by themselves and family members as temporary, a trial, a stopgap until health improves or circumstances change. But what many don't anticipate is how difficult it becomes to return to community living once admitted. Homes may be sold, belongings given away, physical strength and confidence decline due to a more sedentary lifestyle. Medical dependency may increase, and family dynamics often shift toward a mindset of permanence. The result is a form of institutional inertia. Even those who no longer wish to stay may find it financially, physically, or emotionally unfeasible to leave. In medical literature, this phenomenon is sometimes referred to as institutional lock-in. It's not about physical entrapment. It's about gradual erosion of the very resources that once made independent living possible. So before making that move, ask, if I enter, will I still have the choice and the means to leave? The decision to move into a nursing home should be made with full awareness of its multidimensional impact, not only on physical health, but on autonomy, mental well-being, and social integration. Data from multiple health systems and academic centers suggests that when older adults lose routine, control, and meaningful engagement, there is a measurable decline in strength, mobility, cognitive sharpness, and psychological health. This is not to say that nursing homes are inherently harmful. For individuals with advanced medical needs or limited support at home, they provide essential care. However, when used prematurely or without clear necessity, the risks of dependency, functional regression, and social isolation increase. Therefore, comprehensive assessment and early support strategies, such as home-based care, physical therapy, meal services, or part-time assistance, should be explored whenever possible. The science is clear. Preserving independence and agency in older age plays a critical role in extending both lifespan and health span. So if you're contemplating this path, either for yourself or a loved one, pause, evaluate all options, from home care services to community support networks. Explore hybrid models like aging in place or co-housing. And most importantly, consider the long-term implications, not just the short-term convenience. Thank you for watching Health Vise. If this video helped you or made you think differently, I encourage you to share it. Someone else might be standing at the same crossroads, and your insight could be exactly what they need.